Welcome to the Huddle. I'm Tim Gross, joined here by John Walk and Laura Thompson, fresh off of moving to their new addresses. And we're here to talk about the penultimate week of high school football. It's the last weekend of October. There's still lots to be decided here, so let's go right into it. Our game of the week, Donegal. Everyone thought they had struggled at the early part of this season, but they really came back. They're 4-0 in Section 3. They're hosting a Lancaster Catholic team that's still in the hunt for a section title. How do you guys see that one playing out?
Yeah, and Lancaster Catholic has won 3 straight, outscoring Columbia, Pequea Valley, and Elko by a combined score of 120-27. Donegal did play those same 3 teams this season. That was a combined score against those same teams for Donegal, 75-26. So it kind of evens out a little bit there. Yeah, Catholic had about 50 more points in those games, but so be it. And yeah, Donegal winners of 4 of the last 5. So 2 teams that are really on a roll at a point in the season when you want to be on a roll. But what kind of decides it for me, Donegal is kind of one-sided. Lancaster Catholic was one-sided until these last 3 or 4 weeks. They've done a good job kind of balancing out. Quarterback Brian Downey just likes to spread the field and throw it when he can. But if they really don't have to, if they don't need to, they can run the ball. They've proven that the last few weeks here. And they have an offensive line that's really developing and I think getting better. It was just kind of a matter of time, I think, Catholic to kind of hit these cylinders with the coaching staff that they have out there with Mealy, the former Penn Manor coach out there now as an assistant. And I think Cody Booth, former NFL lineman, Penn Manor grad, has been on the sidelines so far this season. So I'm taking Catholic. It's kind of a coin flip game to me. I wouldn't be surprised if Donegal came out on top, though.
Yeah, it's a clash of teams on a roll, and it is very, very tough to pick a winner. Consider the Indians. This is a team that opened the season 0-3, and not just 0-3, but in 3 straight shutouts. So they got outscored 89-0 in those 3 games, and that's a big old bucket of cold water on your aspirations. But today, going into game number 9, the Indians have turned it around to the point where they're the ones who are winning by a shutout. They beat Pequea Valley 27-0 last week. They've won 4 of their last 5. They figured out how to effectively utilize the running game and their defense. They're standing on top of Section 3, so the proof is in the pudding in that respect. But on the other hand, you've got Lancaster Catholic. They've ranked up 3 good section wins in a row, like you said. And they're peaking perhaps at the right time. While the Indians are capitalizing on their run game, the Crusaders, seem to be correctly utilizing their quarterback, Brian Downey. He threw for 155 yards against Columbia last week, and I think ran for another 170. So who wins? So far the Section 3 chase has been kind of like that old saw about, the mouse chases the cheese and the cat chases the mouse and the dog chases the cat, so on down the line. Lancaster Catholic lost to Anvil-Cleona. Anvil lost to Northern Lebanon. Northern Lebanon lost to Elko. Donegal's been above the fray so far, but, all things being equal as they may be in Section 3, this might be the Indians' turn to absorb the loss this week. So I'm actually picking Lancaster Catholic.
I'm going to go with Lancaster Catholic, too. Donegal's defense has really improved. I saw them last week against Pequea Valley, and they were in the backfield a bunch of times. They're really getting that push up front on both sides of the ball. But I think Lancaster Catholic, like you guys have said, they've really balanced it out offensively, and I think they can kind of adjust the game plan according to what they're given from the Donegal defense. So I'm going to go with Lancaster Catholic, although I think I've gotten every Donegal pick I've made this year wrong, so I'm sure they're not too disappointed that I picked against them in Mount Joy. Let's go up to Section 2, where LS got a huge boost, a 36-33 win over Cocalico last week. That kind of blows the door wide open in the section title chase. They're hosting Garden Spot. Garden Spot's 4-4, about a 500 team, and they're looking to put together a strong finish. So do you think that LS is going to ride that momentum into a win, or do you think Garden Spot's going to kind of pick up another game?
Well, I was out at a Lampeter-Strasburg boys soccer game earlier this week, and of course some Pioneer students were ragging me about picking against Lampeter-Strasburg in football last week because it was just last week I sat here and said, Lampeter-Strasburg, they haven't proved to stop the run. Cocalico's going to run all over them. True, Cocalico did put up 342 rushing yards on LS, but either Keith or you said, it could be a shootout and LS could win it that way, and it very was much that way. So LS has now won 4 straight. Garden Spot, back-to-back losses, lost 3 of the last 4. I'm a big believer in hitting your stride at the right time of the year. LS is doing that. I'm going with the Pioneers.
Yep, Garden Spot has been in a tough place lately. Like I said, they've lost 3 of their last 4, including the late game loss to E-Town last week that featured, I believe, a leg injury to their starting quarterback, Cameron Roth. The outing was not without its bright spots. I think they had a 2-touchdown night from Brock Kaufman. He ran for one, caught another. Meanwhile, there's Lampeter. They seem to have straightened their ship out after a couple of yips earlier in the season. It's largely due to the passing game, I think. Todd Shelley's really gotten his timing down, and he's got the world's worth of receivers to pass to. And their defense is really coming along well. In its upset of Cacalico last week, the D dug in and they held the Eagles to just 6 points in the last 16 minutes of the game. So, we've seen a lot of upsets around the league this season. I don't know that this is going to be one of them. I'm picking the Pioneers in this one.
I'm going to pick LS as well. I mean, Halloween's coming up, and they've got the kind of Michael Myers thing going where no matter how much of a lead you build on them, it seems like you turn around and they're right behind you. They did it to Solanco, had a pretty decent-sized lead on them. Obviously, Solanco held on to win, but Lampeter-Strasburg put together a comeback. They came back last week against Cocalico. So I think really, if you're garden spot, what do you have to do to really get that kind of separation where you're comfortable? And I think those experiences of playing from behind and really making big plays down the stretch have given LS a pretty big advantage in these last couple of games. So those are our picks. You can catch our Huddle's Picks show every Thursday afternoon. And be sure to check out LancasterOnline.com every Friday for LL League scores and results. Thanks for tuning in.